Hey everyone, my name is Wedge, and welcome back to our Best of the Rest series, where we talk about all the cards from Ixalan, not spoiled individually. We've already gone through the white, blue, black, and red cards in Ixalan, which means we've made it all the way to green. If you've missed previous episodes and want to catch up on everything Ixalan, you can click the link on the screen or the first link in the description. Let's get our green on. Ancient Brontodon is 6 of anything and 2 green for a 9/9 dinosaur. Well, that's a great way to start, just the biggest vanilla creature ever. I haven't wanted Muraganda petroglyphs more in my entire life than right at this moment. Believe it or not, this is actually limited playable in the right dinosaur deck. You need to have a few ways to ramp, of course, but if you do, this is a top end. It dies real easy, sure, but by the late game, the idea is that your opponent's out of removal or drawing off the top of their library. Could be fatal if left unchallenged. A risk? Sure, of course. This is in your opening hand real bad, but hey, gotta aim for the sky sometime. Adsakan Archer is 3 mana for a 1/4 human archer with reach. When it enters the battlefield, you may have it fight another target creature. What a peculiar card. We rarely see something like this. Great defensive creature, but it can only fight for 1 damage. So bizarre, but I like it. It'll help wreck most pirates in the format as they have 1 toughness, and could function as a nice removal spell post-combat if you want to surprise a heavily damaged opposing creature. Possibly an alternate use for the archer is the easy enrage trigger. Of course, it has to fight the dinosaur it's trying to enrage, so try to be sure it doesn't die in the process. A 1/4 with reach has a lot of value in limited, though. Blinding Fog is 3 mana for an instant, prevent all damage that would be dealt to creatures this turn. Creatures you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Talk about turtling up, Blinding Fog has a clear purpose. Wiping away damage of all kinds, not just combat, and granting hexproof. You're only going to use this when you absolutely need to stop your opponent from using any Anthem ability or damage-based board wipe of some kind. It does have uses, but more often than not, you probably won't play this. Blossom Dryad is 3 mana for a 2/2 Dryad that you can tap to untap target land. You can look at this as a ramp spell. Use your land and tap it, use it again. Probably too good to be true at 2 mana for a 2/2 with this ability, so we'll have to do with it at 3 mana. I think it's a serviceable creature and great for a larger limited deck, probably something revolving around giant dinosaurs. It doesn't technically color fix, but the ramp should be good enough to justify its inclusion into many strategies, and being a 2/2 gives it at least a little durability. It's not bad. Colossal Dread Moz, 4 of anything and 2 green for a 6/6 dinosaur with trample. Obviously one of the bigger creatures in the set. It doesn't have any inherent protection, but if you get to untap with it, there isn't much in the set that can stop a 6/6 with trample from barreling your opponent's face. If you're starved for a top-end finisher or you're playing a lot of ramp like the aforementioned Blossom Dryad, the Dread Moz is a great example of a common level finisher and payoff card. Crash the Ramparts is 3 mana for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. This is literally Awaken the Bear, except this time we're on that dinosaur game instead of that spirit bear game. Semantics, some would say, but there's a distinction. Anywho, Crash the Ramparts is a combat trick designed to help an important creature survive in combat, or to lure an opposing threat into a false sense of security, then wham, wreck 'em. The problem with this card is that it's 3 mana. That's a lot of mana to hold up turn after turn, but late game it does pay off in a big way, giving you a solid finishing pump spell. I'm not a huge fan, but you could be stuck with worse tricks. Crushing Canopy is 3 mana for an instant. Choose 1. Destroy target creature with flying or destroy target enchantment. Purely a sideboard card for green decks. You should be getting these at the end of your pack, so don't worry about looking out for them. You'll likely bring them in against heavy vampire decks that fly, but other than that, you really don't have any place for this. Deeproot Warrior is 2 mana for a 2/2 Merfolk Warrior. Whenever it becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. More bears with upside! I love this set so much! It's like every color is getting a common bear with upside. Anyways, Deeproot Warrior is great at combat and it encourages attacking. Becoming a 3/3 whenever it's blocked has a lot of value, makes blocks awkward for your opponent, especially early game when they only have their 2 mana 2/2 to block with. And the pressure it applies is valuable. Deeproot Warrior is a great 2-drop. You'll play as many of these as you can get your hands on in limited. I love it. Emergent Growth is 4 mana for a sorcery. Target creature gets +5/+5 until end of turn and must be blocked this turn if able. Whoa, didn't expect a card like this in the set, but I love it. Granted, you won't always have a creature to use this on. Almost any creature at all will do. It gets +5/+5. Most creatures in this format can't even take a 5/5, let alone something bigger than that. The main downside to this is that you don't get to choose what they block with, so they decide which creature they want to throw under the bus. But this does force awkward blocks, especially late game, and can force your opponent's hand with their removal or combat tricks. I actually quite like this, even though I'm sure many won't. Ixalan's Keeper is 2 mana for a 2/2 human shaman. You can pay 8 mana, tap it, and sacrifice it to give target creature +5/+5 and trample until end of turn. Thank you! This is what I wanted the cycle to be like. I don't even care about the ability all that much. It's okay. Nowhere near as good as the red or blue abilities, but again, I don't care because it's a 2/2 for 2, not a 1/1 for 1. Automatically my favorite card of the cycle. Thank goodness there's at least one color that's making sense here. Solid card, inevitability late game, efficient early game, auto-include as far as I'm concerned. Ixalan's Diviner is 2 mana for a 0/3 human Dryad. When it enters the battlefield, it explores. I've been going back and forth on this card. Explore is real strong no matter when during the game you're using it. Turn 2 Explore, very good. So either you're stuck with a subpar 0/3 wall, but you get an extra land out of the deal, or you get a 1/4 wall for 2 instead. I don't think this is better than any of the 2/2s for 2 we've seen so far, but if you absolutely need a filler, you could do worse than Explore. Honestly, Explore gives so much value to anything it's on. Man, I love this mechanic. Jade Guardian is 4 mana for a 2/2 Merfolk Shaman with Hexproof. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target Merfolk you control. Yes please? This is a really strong common card. At worst, you get a 3/3 with Hexproof. Do you know how powerful Hexproof is in Limited? Board wipes are few and far between, so Hexproof is a godsend. Real difficult to get rid of anything in Limited with Hexproof. I think it's fairly costed for the ability, near impossible to get rid of outside of combat. I'm a pretty big fan of Jade Guardian, but mainly because I hate Hexproof so much. What a broken mechanic, I'll tell you. This is so good. Jungle Delvar is 1 green mana for a 1/1 Merfolk Warrior. You can pay 4 mana and put a +1/+1 counter on the Delvar. First of all, put in the word Delvar on a card. Calm down, Wizards. You know what that does to people. Playability-wise, there is inevitability here, but I don't think I can afford to wait until the game is at the stage where I can drop all my mana into this 1/1. I'd almost always rather have a 2/2 for 2 for the early and mid-game. You can't count on this thing getting you out of trouble or being a consistent mana sink when it comes with no protection. It's just asking to get removed after you've dropped 8 or 12 or 16 mana into it over the course of the game. Investment seems too high for me. I'll probably pass. New Horizons is 3 mana for an Enchant Land Aura. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Enchanted Land has the ability to tap and add 2 mana of any one color to your mana pool. Normally I don't play land enchantments like this, but my goodness if New Horizons isn't just the bee's knees. 3 mana isn't nothing, but you prop up something with a +1/+1 counter, maybe a Merfolk, and then you get some insane mana ramp and fixing for your late game dinosaurs. New Horizons is answering all the questions green as a color is gonna ask. Again, it doesn't bring a lot to the table right away, but that +1/+1 counter puts it in the playable column for me, absolutely. Pounce is 2 mana for an instant. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Everyone say hello to removal in green. Removal in green, say hello to everyone. Now that introductions have been made, we're good to go. You're running every single copy of Pounce you can get your grubby little T-Rex hands on. 2 mana at instant speed to fight is as affordable and efficient as we're gonna get. High pick in Limited, very high pick. You can never overvalue green removal. You need every piece of it all the time. Pounce is, how do the kids put it, bae. River Herald's Boon is 2 mana for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target Merfolk. Hot dang, this is a nice trick at an affordable cost. What's cool is that you can target your Merfolk with the first +1/+1 counter and it gets the next one too. It's pretty nice. Being instant speed is the only reason I'd ever consider playing this, and having a strong Merfolk presence in my limited deck will decide if it's the 23rd card or cut completely. It's cool, don't get me wrong. Great design, but I usually want more impactful spells or hard-hitting tricks. Again, if you've gathered a plethora of Merfolk, it does gain some value. Snapping Sailback is 5 mana for a 4/4 dinosaur with Flash and Enrage. Whenever it's dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Dinosaurs with Flash? Heck yes! Think everything is safe for you, boom, surprise, dinosaur out of nowhere. I love magic. Anyways, this is a solid card and 100% playable, early pick and limited. Here's why. Flash has a ton of value inherent to it. Being able to cast creatures at instant speed means they are a combat trick, have functional haste, and can ruin opponents' hopes and dreams. This one in particular is a 4/4 for 5 with Flash, which is already on par as far as I'm concerned. That's a fair cost. But then you add Enrage, and whenever it's dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on it, which means you flash this in after your opponent attacks and before blockers are declared. You put this in front of something tiny, trigger Enrage, you dumpster their creature and untap with a 5/5 that can attack right away, and gets even bigger when it's dealt damage again. Yeah, this is a first pickable card. One of the better green uncommons, and one of the better creatures in general for limited. Look out for this one, it's super brutal. Spikedown Sarah is 5 mana for a 4/4 dinosaur, can block an additional creature each combat. It's a decent filler creature, getting to block multiple creatures in combat will prove effective against pirate decks, merfolk strategies, even vampire shenanigans. I feel like it's fairly costed, nothing to write home about, but a good top-end filler creature if you have nothing going on up there. Verdant Rebirth is 2 mana for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gains. When this creature dies, return it to its owner's hand, draw a card. I'm finding so many instincts with this set, but for some reason I'm drawn to this card. Maybe it's the fact that it's a 2 mana cost instant that draws a card in green. Maybe it's the fact that this will save one of your giant creatures and absorb a removal spell. Maybe it's a combination of those things, but for some weird reason I like the card. Now, you will have to cast the creature you get returned to your hand again, but that's better than the graveyard, at least most of the time, and it replaces itself in your hand, and it's at instant speed, so it's a nice recursion trick. This gains value in decks that have powerful creatures or rare or mythic bombs that you want to protect. Probably shouldn't go in anything low to the ground, but if you're playing some hefty dudes, Verdant Rebirth, I don't know, something about it, I like it a lot. Vine Shaper Mystic is 3 mana for a 1/3 Merfolk Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target Merfolk you control. Dang! Merfolk counter shenanigans came to play in this set. What's nice about the Mystic is that it's an enter the battlefield trigger, so it can put a counter on itself, making it a 2/4 for 3, which is way better than a 1/3 for 3. If you have another Merfolk, the value just becomes silly. Great reward for tribal synergy in your deck. At worst, you're getting a competent blocker. This is great. Easily playable in most green decks, and especially strong in decks with many Merfolk running around. We've made it to the end of the green cards, and I can barely contain my excitement. I don't know about you, but I think green is looking phenomenal, like easily one of the better colors. The average creature quality is crazy high. It has removal, decent tricks, powerful abilities on its creatures. It has everything I could ever really ask for. More depth than I'm used to for the color, if I'm being honest. Of course, I'd love to hear what you have to say about green and Ixalan in general, so please let me know what you're thinking. Do you get the same impression from green that I do? If not, tell me what colors impress you the most. I gotta know. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. I'm legit going to go blue in the face talking about Ixalan booster boxes pre-ordering for $90 each, but they are, and I know that some of you haven't pre-ordered them yet. Yeah, that's right, I'm keeping up on you. Yeah, you. Hey, Steven. I know you haven't pre-ordered yet. Come on, Steven. What are you waiting for? You too, Daniel. Yeah, get on it, friends. Click the link on the screen for a great price on Ixalan boxes. Helps the channel. Everything is wonderful. Enjoy.